The emergency beacon cut through the afternoon quiet like a knife. Taman dropped his sandwich and grabbed his medical pack before his mind fully processed what he was hearing. Someone was in trouble outside the colony perimeter. "This is Da Yun," the voice crackled through his communicator. "I need medical response immediately. Grid coordinate 77 Alpha. You need to see this." Taman was already running toward the vehicle bay. His boots pounded against the metal floor of the corridor as he mentally cataloged what might be needed. Animal attack. Equipment accident. The colony on Kishar 9 was still new, barely 8 months old, and the dangers of this world were not fully mapped yet. Jiwoo intercepted him at the bay entrance, her field scanner already strapped across her chest. As the colony's xenobiologist, she monitored any situation involving local wildlife. Her dark eyes were wide with concern. "Dayun found something," Jiwoo said quickly. She won't say what over the open channel, just that it's big and it's dying. They climbed into the terrain vehicle together. Taman took the driver's seat and punched in the coordinates. The vehicle lurched forward, passing through the colony's energy barrier with a faint shimmer. The red desert of Kishar 9 stretched before them, endless and ancient. "How far out is she?" Taman asked. 20 kilometers. "In the Crystal Canyons." Taman pressed harder on the accelerator. The Crystal Canyons were beautiful but dangerous, filled with razor-sharp formations that could slice through protective suits. No one went there alone, but Da-un was a scout. Rules bent around her like light around a gravity well. The journey took 17 minutes. Taman counted every one of them. When they finally crested the ridge overlooking the canyon system, he saw Da-un's vehicle parked at an awkward angle near a massive stone formation. She stood beside it, waving frantically. They descended carefully. As they approached, Taman could see that Da-un's face was pale beneath her helmet. That was wrong. Da-un never looked scared. She had once stared down a cave-in without flinching. "What did you find?" Jiwoo called out as they exited their vehicle. Da-un pointed toward a narrow gap between two crystal spires. "Through there. I was mapping the canyon network when I picked up unusual heat signatures. I thought maybe it was a geothermal vent. But it's not." Taman grabbed his medical pack and followed Da-un through the gap. Jiwoo came right behind him, her scanner already humming with activity. The gap opened into a wider depression, a natural bowl carved into the canyon floor. And there, sprawled across the crimson sand, was something that made Taman's breath catch in his throat. It was enormous. A creature at least 50 meters long, its body serpentine and covered in scales that looked like they were carved from crystal. Each scale was the size of Taman's hand, and they had once been beautiful. He could see that even now, but the luster was gone, replaced by a dull, dying gray. The creature's head was triangular, almost dragon-like, with elegant horns that curved backward. Its eyes were closed. Its body rose and fell with labored breathing that sounded like wind rushing through a cave system. "What is it?" Da-un whispered. Jiwoo was already scanning, her hands shaking as she read the results. "I don't know. It's not in any database. The biological readings are impossible. Its cellular structure is unlike anything we've documented." Taman was already moving closer. His medic training overrode his shock. "Living thing? In distress." That was all that mattered. "Taman, wait," Jiwoo called. "We don't know if it's dangerous." "It's dying," Taman said simply. "Look at it." He was right. As he approached, the extent of the damage became clear. The creature had multiple wounds across its body, deep gouges that wept a fluid that looked like liquid silver mixed with gold. The sand beneath it had turned dark with the strange blood. Taman knelt beside the nearest wound. Up close, he could see that the creature's scales were not quite organic and not quite mineral. They seemed to be something in between, a fusion that defied easy categorization. "Jiwoo, I need readings. Temperature, chemical composition of the blood, anything you can give me." Jiwoo moved closer, still cautious. Her scanner worked overtime. "Body temperature is 42 degrees. The blood is oxygenated, but the chemistry is alien. There are metals in it. Silver, gold, traces of something I can't identify. Breathing rate is dropping. I think it's going into shock." Taman opened his medical pack. Everything in it was designed for human physiology. He had some supplies for the few domestic animals the colony kept, but nothing for this. He would have to improvise. "Its life signs are failing," Jiwoo said quietly. "Taman, I'm not sure we can help it. We don't know what it needs." "Then we learn fast," Taman said. He pulled out a coagulant gel, one designed to slow human bleeding. Would it work on alien blood? He had no idea. But doing nothing guaranteed death. Doing something at least offered a chance. The creature's eye suddenly opened. Just one eye, huge and multifaceted like a jewel. It focused on Timon with an intensity that made him freeze. The eye was purple shot through with silver veins. There was intelligence in that gaze. Deep, ancient intelligence. Then the eye closed again. The breathing grew more labored. Timon made his decision. He squeezed coagulant gel onto the nearest wound. The substance hissed on contact with the alien blood, but then began to foam and solidify. The bleeding slowed. "It's working," Dawn said, her voice filled with amazement. "Hand me the IV kit," Timon told Jiwoo. "If it's going into shock, it needs fluids. We'll start with saline solution and adjust from there." "You're really going to do this?" Jiwoo asked. "Taemin Hyunsoo is going to lose his mind when he finds out. We're using colony medical supplies on an unknown alien creature." "Life is life," Taemin said. "I didn't become a medic to let patients die because they're different." Jiwoo stared at him for a long moment, then nodded. She handed him the IV kit. As Taemin worked to find a vein or something like a vein in the creature's massive foreleg, his communicator buzzed. Hyunsoo's voice came through tight with concern. "Dayun, report. You triggered an emergency beacon. What's your status?" Dayun looked at Taemin. He nodded. "Sir," Daun said carefully, "we have a situation. We found something in the canyons. Something alive. Something that needs help." "What kind of something?" "You need to see it to believe it, sir." There was a pause. "I'm sending Roxanne with a security team." "Stay where you are." The communicator went silent. Taemin kept working. He had found what felt like a major blood vessel, and carefully inserted the IV line. The creature shuddered but did not pull away. He started a slow drip of modified saline solution. "Talk to me, Jiwoo. What else can you tell me about its biology?" Jiwoo circled the creature slowly, scanning continuously. "It has what looks like a 3-chambered heart. No, wait, multiple hearts. At least 4. Respiratory system is distributed throughout the body, not centralized in lungs. The crystalline scales seem to serve both as armor and as some kind of energy distribution network." "Energy distribution?" "There are faint electromagnetic signatures running through them." "Like circuitry?" "Taemin, I think parts of this creature are technological, or something we'd call technological, but it's all biological at the same time." Taemin sat back on his heels looking at the magnificent being before him. What was it? Where had it come from? And what had hurt it so badly? The creature's breathing began to even out slightly. The coagulant was holding. The IV drip was entering its system without rejection. Small victories. Behind them, they heard the sound of approaching vehicles. Hyunsoo was coming. And that meant questions. Questions Taemin had no answers for. But right now, none of that mattered. Right now, there was only this moment. A dying creature. A medic who refused to give up. And the slow, steady work of trying to save a life that shouldn't exist according to everything humanity knew about the universe. The sun was setting when Hyunsoo arrived with Roxanne and 3 security officers. Their vehicles kicked up clouds of red dust as they descended into the canyon. Taemin barely looked up from his work. He was too focused on monitoring the creature's vital signs. What in the name of Earth? Hyunsoo's voice trailed off as he stepped into the depression and saw the massive being. For the first time, Roxanne had his hand on his sidearm. His eyes swept the area looking for threats. "Is it dangerous?" "It's barely conscious," Jiwoo said. "Look at it. This creature is fighting to stay alive." Hyunsoo walked closer slowly. He was a careful man, methodical in everything he did. That caution had kept the colony safe for 8 months. Now his face showed a mix of wonder and deep concern. "Taemin," he said quietly. "Tell me what you're doing." "Treating a patient," Taemin replied. He was checking the IV line, making sure the flow remained steady. Multiple lacerations, signs of shock, severe blood loss. "I've stabilized the bleeding and started fluid replacement. With our medical supplies." "Yes, our limited medical supplies that were meant for the colonists." Taemin finally looked up at Hyunsoo. "Would you have me let it die?" Hyunsoo said nothing for a long moment. He studied Taemin's face, then looked at the creature. One of its eyes had opened again, watching them all with that same deep intelligence. "What is it?" Hyunsoo asked. "Unknown," Jiwoo answered. She held up her scanner. "Nothing in any database matches. Its biology is completely unique. Part organic, part crystalline, part something else entirely. I've been sending readings back to the colony's computer. and the analysis keeps coming back with error messages. Roxanne stepped closer despite his obvious nervousness. Where did it come from? I don't know, Da-Un said. There were no ships in orbit. No landing signatures. It was just here. Things this size don't just appear, Roxanne said flatly. And yet here it is, Jiwoo replied. Hyun-soo made a decision. We can't move it. It's too large and we don't have equipment rated for this mass. Taemin, if you're committed to this course of action, then you'll need support. What do you need? Taemin felt relief wash through him. He had been prepared to argue, to fight for permission. Instead, Hyun-soo was offering help. More IV solution, stronger coagulants, pain medication, though I have no idea what dosage would be appropriate. And lights. I need to work through the night. You'll have it, Hyun-soo said. He turned to Roxanne. Get a portable shelter set up. Medical grade. And bring the backup generator. If Taemin is staying, he stays comfortable. Roxanne didn't look happy, but he nodded and began giving orders to his team. Hyun-soo moved closer to Taemin and lowered his voice. I'm trusting your judgment on this, but understand I have to report this to Earth. First contact protocols exist for a reason. This situation is going to bring attention we may not want. I understand, Taemin said, but that's a problem for tomorrow. Right now my problem is keeping this being alive until morning. Then I'll let you work. Over the next few hours, the canyon transformed into a field hospital. Roxanne's team erected a portable shelter that arched over part of the creature's body. Powerful lights illuminated the work area. A generator hummed steadily in the background. Jiwoo set up a monitoring station with multiple scanners focused on different parts of the creature's anatomy. Screens displayed data streams that she was slowly beginning to understand. Its body temperature is rising, she reported, up to 43 degrees now. Is that good or bad? I don't know, Taemin admitted. In humans, that would be a dangerous fever. For this being, it might be normal. He had moved on to treating the smaller wounds, the ones he had initially overlooked. Each cut was carefully cleaned and sealed. The creature remained still, though occasionally its massive body would shiver. Da-Yun brought food at some point. Taemin ate without tasting it, his attention never leaving his patient. The creature's breathing had stabilized, which was encouraging. But there were still too many unknowns. How long has it been injured? Jiwoo wondered aloud. These wounds aren't fresh. Some of them are at least a day old, maybe longer. It was alone out here dying for a day. Da-Yun looked horrified. That's terrible. Something hurt it badly, Taemin said. He was examining a particularly deep gouge along the creature's flank. These aren't random injuries. Look at the pattern. 3 parallel cuts. Like claws. What could claw something this size? Roxanne had returned from securing the perimeter. He studied the wounds with a tactical eye. This creature is massive, powerful. Whatever attacked it must have been equally impressive. Or there were many attackers, Jiwoo suggested. The creature's eye opened again. This time both eyes. They focused on Taemin with unnerving precision. He had the distinct feeling he was being evaluated, measured somehow. Hello, Taemin said softly. He felt foolish speaking to it, but those eyes held such awareness that remaining silent seemed wrong. I'm trying to help you. I know it probably hurts. I'm sorry about that. But you're going to survive this. I promise. The eye blinked slowly, then closed again. Do you think it understands you? Da-Yun asked. I think it understands something, Taemin replied. Midnight came and went. Taemin's hands were steady despite his exhaustion. He had been working for over 8 hours straight. Jiwoo brought him water and made him drink it. You need rest, she said. Soon, he promised. Your hands are shaking. They're fine. Jiwoo sighed but didn't push further. She knew Taemin well enough to recognize when he was immovable. By 3 in the morning, something shifted. The creature's vital signs, which had been steadily declining despite treatment, suddenly stabilized. Not improved, but stopped getting worse. It was a turning point. Look at this, Jiwoo said excitedly. She pointed at her scanner readings. The crystalline structures in its scales are beginning to glow again. Just faintly, but they were completely dark before. Taemin looked. She was right. A subtle luminescence was spreading through the scales, like circuits powering up one by one. The colors were beautiful. Deep purple, electric blue, hints of silver. It's recovering, Taemin said. Relief made his voice rough. Whatever we're doing, it's working. You did it, Da-Un said from the entrance of the shelter. You actually saved an alien life. Not yet, Taemin cautioned. It's stable, but stable isn't healthy. We have a long way to go. But privately, he allowed himself a moment of hope. The being's breathing was stronger now. The bleeding had stopped completely. The coagulants had worked better than he had dared hope. The IV solutions were being absorbed without rejection. Against all odds, his patient was going to survive the night. Hyun-Soo returned at dawn. He brought fresh supplies and hot coffee. Taemin accepted the coffee gratefully. Status? Hyun-Soo asked. Stable. Vital signs are holding. I think we're past the critical phase. Hyun-Soo nodded slowly. He looked exhausted. I've been in communication with Earth all night. They're sending a xenobiology team, military advisors, diplomatic corps. Everyone wants to be part of this. That was fast, Jiwoo said. First contact with intelligent alien life tends to move quickly through bureaucratic channels, Hyun-Soo said dryly. They'll arrive in 3 weeks? Until then, we're on our own. 3 weeks, Taemin repeated. He looked at the creature. Well, my friend, you'll be much healthier by then. As the sun rose over the canyon, painting everything in shades of gold and crimson, the creature stirred. Its massive head lifted slightly. Both eyes opened and focused on Taemin, and for just a moment Taemin could have sworn he felt something. Not a sound, not a touch, but a presence in his mind. A feeling of gratitude mixed with profound confusion. Then the moment passed. The creature's eyes closed again, and it settled into what looked like genuine sleep rather than unconsciousness. Did you feel that? Jiwoo whispered. Yes, Taemin said. What was it? I don't know, but I think our patient is more than just intelligent. I think it might be trying to communicate. Roksun, who had been silent throughout the exchange, shook his head. This situation just keeps getting stranger. Strange is relative, Taemin said. He was checking the IV lines again, making sure everything remained secure. Yesterday we were a simple colony on a distant world. Today we might be standing at the beginning of something much larger. First contact, Daewon said softly. Real first contact, maybe, Hyun-Soo said. If this creature wakes up fully, if it can communicate, if it wants to communicate. There are a lot of ifs. Then we wait for answers, Taemin said. And while we wait, I keep my patient alive. The generator hummed. The monitors beeped softly. And in the shelter erected in a crystal canyon on a distant world, a human medic continued his vigil over a being that should not exist. The first day had passed. But Taemin had a feeling that the truly incredible part of this story was still to come. Taemin woke to the sound of movement. He had fallen asleep in the chair beside his patient, exhausted after 30 hours of continuous work. Now his eyes snapped open and he saw something that made his breath catch. The creature was awake, fully awake. It had lifted its massive head and was looking directly at him. The crystalline scales across its body blazed with color now, shifting between deep purples and electric blues in waves that seemed to pulse with each breath. The dull gray of near-death was completely gone. Jiwoo, Taemin called out, keeping his voice calm. Jiwoo, wake up. The xenobiologist had been sleeping on a cot at the other side of the shelter. She sat up quickly, saw the creature and froze. It's awake, she whispered. I noticed. The creature's eyes followed their conversation, those massive jewel-like eyes that held such intelligence. Taemin stood slowly, making no sudden movements. He could see that the wounds had healed significantly. The flesh had knitted together in ways that seemed impossible for the short time that had passed. Good morning, Taemin said to the creature. He felt silly talking to it, but what else could he do? How are you feeling? The creature tilted its head slightly, studying him. Then something happened that would change everything. A voice spoke in Taemin's mind. It was not like hearing someone talk. There was no sound. Instead, concepts and meanings appeared directly in his consciousness, translating themselves into words he could understand. You saved my life. Taemin staggered backward. Jiwoo gasped. The presence of that voice in their minds was overwhelming. It was ancient and powerful, with harmonics that seemed to vibrate through every cell of their bodies. You can speak, Taemin managed to say. You can speak to us. I have always been able to speak, the voice said. But I have chosen not to. Your kind has been watched. You have been observed. But we do not engage. We never engage. Until now, your kind? Jiwoo asked. Her scientific mind was already working through the implications. There are more of you? There are Vrelin across this galaxy and beyond. We are few, but we are old. So very old, Taemin's mind was racing. Vrelin, that's what you call your species? It is close enough to our true designation. Your language lacks the dimensional complexity to express it fully, but Vrelin will serve. How long have you been watching us? Jiwoo moved closer, her fear overcome by curiosity. Since your kind first left your homeworld, we have observed your expansion with interest. Humanity is young, aggressive, curious. You spread like fire across the stars. We have watched many species do this. Some burn out, some mature. We did not know which path you would take. Taemin sat back down in his chair. His legs felt weak. You've been watching us for that long and you've never made contact. Contact changes things. We learned this truth many thousands of years ago. When elder species interfere with younger ones, it rarely ends well. The younger species either becomes dependent, losing their own path, or they become resentful, striking out in fear. So we watch. We observe. We do not touch. Then why are you talking to us now? Jiwoo asked. The creature's color shifted, becoming more subdued. Because this human saved my life. He risked resources, time, and safety to help a being he did not know. A being that might have been dangerous. He acted with pure compassion. Taemin felt embarrassed under that ancient gaze. It's what any medic would do. No, the voice said firmly. It is not. We have observed your kind for decades. We know your capacity for both great kindness and terrible cruelty. What you did was not guaranteed. It was a choice. And that choice has created a situation that has never existed before in Vrelin history. Outside the shelter, they heard vehicles approaching. Hyunsu was returning with the morning shift. The creature heard them too. Its head swiveled toward the entrance. More humans come, it observed. Our colony administrator, Taemin explained. He's been helping provide supplies. He's a good man. I can sense his approach. His mind is organized, methodical. He carries great responsibility and fear. He fears me. Can you read our minds? Jiwoo asked, and there was concern in her voice now. Surface thoughts only, and only when you project them strongly. I am not invasive. Your private thoughts remain your own. But emotions are harder to shield. Fear, joy, anger. These broadcast clearly to those who know how to listen. Hyunsu entered the shelter and stopped dead. He took in the scene. The creature awake and alert. Taemin and Jiwoo standing close to it without fear. The transformation from dying being to vibrant presence. It's conscious, he said unnecessarily. It can talk, Taemin said, into our minds. And it has a name. Veska. Or at least that's the closest translation we can understand. Veska, the creature confirmed. And you are Hyunsu, leader of this small human settlement. You carry the weight of many lives. Hyunsu's hand moved toward his sidearm instinctively, then stopped. You're reading my mind. Only what you broadcast openly. Your fear is loud, Hyunsu, but so is your determination to protect your people. These are admirable qualities. What do you want? Hyunsu asked bluntly. Why are you here? I was surveying a spatial anomaly in this system. An unusual gravitational distortion that appeared suddenly 3 of your weeks ago. While investigating it, I was attacked by creatures that inhabit the dimensional spaces between normal space. They damaged my vessel and injured me severely. I barely escaped. I came to this world to die in peace, and your vessel? Jiwoo's eyes lit up. You have a ship? Had, it is destroyed. The dimensional creatures tore it apart. Only I escaped. These dimensional creatures, Hyunsu said. Are they a threat to us? Not unless you venture into the spaces they inhabit. They do not enter normal space willingly. I was in their territory. The attack was defensive from their perspective. Taemin was still processing everything. You came here to die. But I saved you. Now what happens? Veska's colors shifted again, this time to something that looked almost like sadness. Deep blues mixed with gray. Now I face an impossible choice. Vrelin law is clear. When we are discovered by a younger species, we have 2 options. We erase all memory of our existence from their minds, or we extend an invitation to dialogue. There is no middle ground. You can erase memories. Jiwoo sounded horrified. It is within our capabilities. It causes no harm, only confusion. You would remember finding something strange in the canyon, but the details would be unclear, like a fading dream. But you don't want to do that, Taemin said. He could sense it somehow, a reluctance that radiated from the being. No, I do not. To erase your memories would make your compassion meaningless. You saved my life, Taemin. You gave freely of your skill and your resources. To steal that from you, to render your actions void, feels wrong in ways I struggle to express. Then invite us to dialogue, Yunsu said. Share knowledge. Establish contact. Isn't that what first contact is supposed to be? You do not understand what you ask. The Vreln have maintained isolation for 3,000 of your years. We have our reasons. To break that isolation, to open dialogue with humanity, would change everything, not just for you, but for my entire species. I would need to convince the Vreln Council that humanity is ready, that you can be trusted with the knowledge that we exist. Are we ready? Taman asked quietly. Veska looked at him for a long moment. I do not know. I have watched humanity from a distance. I have seen your wars and your peace, your cruelty and your kindness, your brilliant discoveries and your terrible mistakes. From a distance you are data, numbers and patterns, but here now you are individuals. You are Taman who saves lives, Jiwoo who seeks knowledge, Hyunsu who carries responsibility, and I find that individuals are much harder to judge than data. So what do? Jiwoo asked. I must return to my people. I must present this situation to the council, and I must make a case one way or another. But first I have questions. Many questions. I need to understand you better, not as a species but as people. We'll answer what we can, Hyunsu said. He still looked wary, but he had relaxed slightly. Though I need to report this to Earth, we have protocols. Report what you must, Veska said, but know that Earth authorities will arrive and find me gone. I cannot remain here. My presence is already disrupting the careful balance of observation we maintain. When will you leave? Taman felt an unexpected sadness at the thought. Soon. But not yet. First we talk. I must understand the nature of compassion that led you to save me, because that understanding may determine the future relationship between our species. The shelter fell silent. Outside, the sun climbed higher in the alien sky. And inside, human and Vreln prepared for a conversation that would shape the future of two civilizations. Taemin looked at the being he had saved and wondered what questions it would ask, and more importantly, what answers humanity could give. The questions began that afternoon. Veska had requested that different colonists come to speak with it. Hyunsu agreed, though Roxun insisted on maintaining a security presence. Not that security could do much against a being like Veska, but it made everyone feel better. Da-Yun was the first visitor. She approached the shelter nervously, clutching her scanner like a shield. Veska's massive head turned to watch her enter. You are the one who found me. Veska's voice resonated in her mind. You called for help instead of fleeing. Why? Dayan swallowed hard. You were hurt. I couldn't just leave you. But you did not know what I was. I could have been dangerous. Your scanner would have shown you that I was alive and large enough to be a threat. Yet you stayed and called for medical assistance. Explain this choice. Dayan thought about it carefully. I guess it's because leaving felt wrong, like abandoning someone who needed help. My parents taught me that if you can help, you should help, even if it's hard or scary. Your parents, Veska repeated. They taught you this value. It is not instinctive? Maybe partly instinctive, Doan said, but mostly learned. My mom was a rescue worker back on Earth. She pulled people out of collapsed buildings after earthquakes. She always said that the moment you stop seeing others as worth saving, you lose something important about being human. Veska's colors shifted to a thoughtful amber. So compassion is taught among your kind, passed from generation to generation. Yes, well, mostly. Some people learn it better than others. And those who do not learn it, what happens to them? Daeun frowned. Some people are cruel. Some people only care about themselves. We try to teach better values, but it doesn't always work. Humans are complicated. Indeed, Veska said softly. You are very complicated. Next came Bora, the colony's communications specialist. She was less nervous than Daeun had been, more curious. She had brought a portable translation device, though it was clearly useless given Veska's telepathic abilities. I study language, Bora explained, the way different species might communicate. I never imagined I'd meet someone who speaks directly into minds. Language is limiting, Veska observed. It requires you to translate thought into sound and sound back into thought. So much is lost in that translation, but it also creates precision. You must choose words carefully. This forces clarity of thinking. Do all Vreln communicate telepathically? Yes, it is our natural state. But we can learn spoken languages if needed. I know 17,000 languages from various species across the galaxy. Most are dead now. The species that spoke them are gone. Bora looked sad at that. That must be lonely. Watching species disappear. It is the nature of time. All things end. The young species we watch today may become the elders of tomorrow, or they may fade into nothing. We cannot know which until it happens. Is that why you don't interfere? Because you've seen too many species fail. Veska's colors darkened, partly, but also because we have caused failures ourselves. Long ago, before we adopted our current philosophy, the Wyrm tried to guide younger species. We shared technology. We offered wisdom, and we watched those species become dependent on us. They stopped developing their own solutions. When we eventually withdrew, as we always must, they collapsed. Entire civilizations ended because we tried to help. Bora was quiet for a moment. So you learn to watch instead of touch. Yes, it is a hard lesson, but a necessary one. Roxxon came next, though he clearly did not want to. He stood at a distance, his posture defensive. Veska regarded him calmly. You fear me more than the others do, Veska observed. You see me as a potential threat. You are a potential threat, Roxxon said bluntly. You're powerful, advanced, and we know nothing about your intentions. My job is to protect this colony. That means being suspicious of unknowns. A reasonable position. If I were in your place, I would feel similarly. But tell me, Roxxon, if you had found me dying in that canyon, what would you have done? Roxxon hesitated. I don't know. Maybe called for help like Daun did. Maybe not. I'm trained to assess threats first and help second. An honest answer. Your caution has kept your people safe. This is valuable. But tell me, does caution ever prevent good things from happening? Roxxon thought about that. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes being too careful means missing opportunities. And which is more costly? The danger you avoid or the opportunity you miss? Depends on the situation, Roxxon said. That's the hard part. You never know until after. Wisdom in uncertainty, Veska said. This is something my people lost long ago. We chose caution so absolutely that we stopped taking any risks at all. Perhaps there is something to learn from your approach. Jiwoo spent hours with Veska, asking questions about Wyrm biology and culture. Veska answered some questions and deflected others. It was clear that there were limits to what it would share. Your cellular structure is fascinating, Jiwoo said, reviewing her scans. Part crystalline, part organic. How does that even work? It is the result of millions of years of evolution in an environment very different from this one. Our homeworld has properties that would seem impossible by your physics. High concentrations of certain elements that allow for crystalline life structures. And you live for thousands of years? Yes, time moves differently for us than for you. A year is nothing. A century is brief. We measure our lives in millennia. That must make it hard to relate to short-lived species like us, Jiwoo said. We're here and gone so quickly from your perspective. It does create distance, Veska admitted. You are like mayflies to us. Beautiful and brief. It is hard to form attachments to beings who will be gone in what feels like moments. This is another reason we maintain distance. But you're talking to us now. Yes, because Taemin made a choice that transcends time. Compassion does not require long life to be meaningful. A brief kindness can echo far longer than the life that created it. Finally, as evening approached, Taemin sat with Veska alone. The creature had been quiet for some time, processing all the conversations it had experienced. You have been silent, Veska observed. You saved my life, yet you ask nothing of me. I'm just glad you're recovering, Taemin said simply. That's enough, but you must be curious. You must have questions. Of course I do. Hundreds of them. But you're not a research subject. You're a person. Or, well, a being. Someone who nearly died and is still recovering. Pushing you to answer questions feels wrong. Veska's colors shifted through several patterns before settling on a warm gold. This right here. This is what confuses me about your kind. You have the capacity to objectify others, to see them as tools or obstacles. Yet you also have this ability to recognize personhood in the most unlikely places. You see a dying alien creature and think not of what you can learn from it, but of its well-being. Isn't that normal? No, it is rare. We have observed thousands of species. Most see others through the lens of utility. What can this being do for me? How does it affect my survival or my goals? But you and some others of your kind, you see value in life itself. Independent of usefulness, Taemin shrugged. Maybe we're strange. You are. but perhaps strange in ways that matter. Can I ask you something? Taman said. Of course. Are you going to erase our memories? Veska was quiet for a long time. The shelter filled with the sound of distant wind and the hum of equipment. Finally, the ancient being responded. I do not want to. Everything in me resists that option. You gave me life. To take your memories would be a betrayal of that gift. But the alternative is difficult. If I invite humanity into dialogue with the Vreln, I must convince my people that you are ready. That you will not misuse the knowledge of our existence. That contact will not harm either of our species. And you're not sure we're ready, Taman said. I am not sure any species is ever truly ready for first contact. But I have learned something these past days. I have learned that humanity cannot be judged as a single entity. You are millions of individuals, each making choices. Some of those choices are kind. Some are cruel. Some are brave. Some are cowardly. You contain multitudes, so what will you do? I will return to my people. I will present what I have learned, and I will advocate for contact. Not because humanity is perfect, but because perfection is not required for dialogue. What is required is the capacity for growth. And I believe you have that. Taman felt something tight in his chest release. You're really going to try? Yes. Though I must warn you, the Vreln Council moves slowly. It may be years before you hear from us again. Perhaps decades, but you'll try. I will try. For you, Taman. For the medic who saw a dying creature and chose compassion over caution. Your choice created ripples that will spread farther than you can imagine. Outside, the stars were beginning to appear in the darkening sky. Somewhere among those stars was the home of the Vreln. And soon, if Veska succeeded, humanity would take its first steps toward joining the larger community of galactic civilizations. But that was for the future. For now, in a shelter in a canyon on a distant world, a human and an ancient alien sat together in comfortable silence. Two beings from different worlds, different biologies, different philosophies, connected by one simple act of kindness. Veska announced its departure 3 days later. The creature had healed remarkably fast, its crystalline scales now blazing with vibrant colors that shifted like auroras across its massive body. The wounds that should have taken months to heal had closed completely in less than a week. My biology is designed for rapid recovery, Veska explained to Jiwoo, who had been documenting every stage of the healing process. In the dimensional spaces where I often travel, time flows differently. Injuries must heal quickly or not at all. The entire colony gathered in the canyon to witness the departure. Over 100 people stood at a safe distance, watching the magnificent being prepare to leave. Many held up cameras and recording devices, capturing this historic moment. Taman stood closest to Veska, feeling an unexpected sadness. In just a few days, he had grown attached to this ancient creature. They had shared conversations late into the night, discussing everything from medicine to philosophy to the nature of consciousness itself. I wish you could stay longer, Taman said quietly. As do I, Veska replied, its voice warm in his mind. But I have already remained too long. The longer I stay, the more complicated the situation becomes. My people will already be concerned by my silence. How will you travel without your ship? I do not need a ship for all forms of travel. We Vreln can navigate certain dimensional pathways naturally. It is how we move between stars without conventional vessels. My ship was merely a tool for comfort and carrying equipment. Jiwoo stepped forward, holding a small data storage device. I compiled all my scans of your biology with your permission. Would you take this to your people? Maybe it could help them understand why contact might be valuable. We could learn so much from each other. Veska's colors shifted to a pleased amber, a thoughtful gift. Yes, I will take it. And I have something for you as well. The creature's body rippled. One of its crystalline scales loosened and fell away, landing in the sand with a soft chime. The scale was the size of a dinner plate glowing with internal light. This contains information, Veska said. Star charts, scientific principles, mathematical theorems, nothing that could be weaponized but knowledge that might guide your development. It is encoded in patterns of light within the crystal. Your Jiwoo will determine how to read it. Jiwoo picked up the scale carefully, her hands trembling. This is incredible. Thank you. Yunsu stepped forward next. What should we tell Earth? They're sending ships full of officials and scientists. They'll arrive in 2 weeks expecting to find you here. Tell them the truth, Veska said. Tell them that first contact was made. That it was peaceful. that there are civilizations far older than humanity watching from the shadows, and tell them that future contact is possible but not guaranteed. It depends on decisions yet to be made. Will we hear from you again? Hyun-soo asked. If I am successful in convincing my people, yes. If not, then this moment will become a strange footnote in your history. An unexplained encounter that future generations will debate and wonder about. Rock-sun, standing with his security team, spoke up. His voice was gruff but respectful. I was wrong about you. I thought you were a threat, but you've been nothing but honest with us. You were not wrong to be cautious, Veska replied. Caution keeps people alive. I respect your dedication to protecting your colony. Daeun wiped tears from her eyes. I'm glad I found you. I'm glad you're okay, as am I, young scout. Your choice to call for help rather than flee began this entire chain of events. Never underestimate the impact of small decisions. Bora activated her communication equipment one last time. I'm recording this moment for history. Humanity's first conversation with an elder species. Future generations will study these recordings. Then let them see that first contact need not be about conquest or domination, Veska said. Let them see that it can be about compassion and curiosity, about helping someone in need without thought of reward. Taemin felt Veska's attention return to him. The ancient being lowered its massive head until it was level with his face. Those jeweled eyes held his gaze. Taemin, medic, healer. You gave me life when I had resigned myself to death. This debt cannot be repaid, only acknowledged. Know that whatever happens with the Vreln Council, you have changed me. I will carry the memory of your kindness for the rest of my existence. I just did what anyone would do, Taemin said, his voice thick with emotion. No, you did what you would do, and that makes all the difference. Veska's body began to glow brighter. The colors intensified until it was almost painful to look at directly. The air around the creature shimmered and bent. Reality itself seemed to twist. I must go now. Veska's voice echoed in every mind present. Remember this moment. Remember that the universe is vast and old and full of wonders. And remember that kindness matters even to beings you cannot imagine. The light grew blinding. Colonists shielded their eyes. There was a sound like wind chimes mixed with thunder, a sensation of impossible movement and then silence. When they could see again, Veska was gone. Only the faint outline where its body had rested remained in the sand. That and the glowing crystal scale in Jiwoo's hands. The canyon felt empty without the massive presence. Taemin stared at the spot where his patient had been, feeling the weight of what had just happened settling over him. It's really gone, Daeun said softly. Not gone, Jiwoo corrected, holding up the crystal scale. Just somewhere else. And look, the scale is still glowing. There's so much information encoded in here. It'll take months to decode it all. Hyun-soo turned to address the gathered colonists. What we experienced here will change humanity's place in the universe. We've learned that we're not alone, that there are civilizations watching us, judging whether we're ready to join the larger galactic community. Are we ready? Someone in the crowd asked. Hyun-soo looked at Taemin before answering. I think we just proved that at least some of us are. The rest of humanity will have to rise to meet that standard. The colonists began to disperse, talking excitedly among themselves. Roxanne organized his security team to secure the site. Bora was already reviewing her recordings. Jiwoo was scanning the crystal scale with every instrument she had, but Taemin remained standing in the canyon, looking up at the alien sky. Somewhere out there, Veska was traveling through dimensions humans barely understood, heading toward a civilization that had watched humanity for decades without revealing itself. Come back, Taemin whispered to the stars. Please come back. Jiwoo walked over to stand beside him. She held the crystal scale between them, its light casting colored shadows across their faces. You know what this means? She said. Everything changes now. Humanity knows there are elder species out there. We know we're being watched. We know that our actions matter, that they're being judged by beings we can't even see. Is that good or bad? Taemin asked. Maybe both. Maybe neither. But at least now we know. And knowing means we can choose how to act with that knowledge. Do you think Veska will succeed? Do you think the Vreln will agree to contact? Jiwoo looked at the crystal in her hands. I think Veska will try its hardest. And I think that has to be enough for now. We did our part. We showed compassion to a dying creature. We proved that humans can be more than just ambitious and aggressive. Now we wait and see if that was enough. They stood together in the canyon as the sun set, painting the crystal formations in shades of gold and crimson. The colony's lights began to glow in the distance, a small beacon of human presence on an alien world. And far above, invisible to human eyes, the stars held secrets that might soon be shared, or might remain hidden for generations more. Either way, nothing would ever be quite the same. The medic who saved an alien life had started something that would echo through time. Now all of humanity would have to live up to the example he had set. In a shelter that would soon be dismantled, in a canyon that would become a historical site, on a world that would be remembered as the place where everything changed, one simple truth remained: life is worth saving, no matter where it comes from, no matter how different it might be. And sometimes that simple truth is enough to change the universe. 6 months passed. The colony on Keshar 9 had transformed completely. What had been a small outpost of barely 100 souls was now a thriving center of xenological research and diplomatic preparation. New buildings sprawled across the red desert, research facilities, communication centers, housing for the hundreds of scientists and officials who had arrived from Earth. The canyon where Veska had been found was now a protected site, surrounded by barriers and monitoring equipment. Tourists were forbidden, but researchers came daily to study the area, hoping to find some trace of the Vreln's presence. Taemin had returned to his normal duties at the colony medical center, though his life was far from normal. He had been interviewed countless times by Earth officials, military intelligence, and news organizations. Everyone wanted to know about the medic who had made first contact by saving an alien's life. He found the attention exhausting. "Another request for an interview," Bora said, bringing a datapad to his office. "This one from the United Earth Council. They want you to speak at their assembly next month. Tell them what I told the others," Taemin said without looking up from his patient files. "I'm a medic, not a diplomat." "I have work to do here," Bora smiled. "You know they'll keep asking. Then I'll keep saying no." After Bora left, Taemin allowed himself a moment of quiet. He looked at the photo on his desk, an image captured by Daun on the day Veska departed. The massive creature blazing with color, its head lowered to meet Taemin's gaze. It was a good memory, but 6 months of silence was wearing on him. Had Veska reached its people? Had it presented humanity's case? Or had the Vreln Council rejected the idea of contact? Every day without word made the latter seem more likely. Jiwoo was having better luck with her research. The crystal scale Veska had left contained incredible information. She had assembled a team of scientists to decode the patterns of light trapped within the crystalline structure. Each week brought new discoveries, star charts showing regions of space humanity had never explored, mathematical theorems that solved problems physicists had struggled with for decades, scientific principles that hinted at technologies far beyond human capability. "Look at this," Jiwoo said excitedly, bursting into Taemin's office one afternoon. She held up a holographic display showing complex equations. "We finally decoded the section on faster-than-light travel. Veska gave us the theoretical foundation for drives that could cross the galaxy in months instead of years." "That's incredible," Taemin said, genuinely impressed. "It's more than incredible. It's transformative. If we can build this technology, humanity can expand farther than we ever dreamed." But here's the interesting part. Jiwoo zoomed in on one section of the equations. The math includes built-in limitations. The drives can't be weaponized. They're designed purely for exploration and transport. Veska made sure we couldn't use this knowledge to hurt others. "That sounds like Veska," Taemin said softly. "You miss it, don't you? Is that obvious?" "To anyone who knows you, yes." Taemin leaned back in his chair. "I keep thinking about what Veska said. About the Vreln Council moving slowly. What if slowly means never? What if we never hear from them again?" "Then we move forward anyway," Jiwoo said. "We have the knowledge Veska left us. We know there are elder species watching us. That changes things whether they make contact or not. We know we need to be better, to prove ourselves worthy of joining the larger galactic community. And are we? Being better?" Jiwoo considered that. "In some ways, yes. The United Earth Council has passed new laws about space exploration. More emphasis on peaceful contact protocols, better environmental protections. It's not perfect, but it's progress. Forced progress because we know we're being watched. Is that bad? Sometimes people need external motivation to do the right thing." Before Taemin could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the colony. His communicator lit up with an emergency broadcast from Hyun-soo. All personnel, this is not a drill. We have detected an anomaly at the original contact site. All senior staff report to the canyon immediately. Taemin and Jiwoo exchanged looks, then ran for the vehicle bay. The canyon was swarming with activity when they arrived. Researchers and security personnel surrounded the area where Veska had departed 6 months earlier. In the center of it all, reality was doing something impossible. The air shimmered and twisted, forming a vertical oval of distorted space. Colors that had no names flickered at its edges. The sound of wind chimes filled the canyon, growing louder with each passing second. It's a dimensional gateway, Jiwoo breathed. Like the one Veska used to leave. Is it coming back? Daeun asked. She had been first on scene as usual, her scanner recording everything. The gateway stabilized. Through it, they could see nothing but swirling colors and impossible geometries. Then something began to emerge. Veska came through first, its crystalline body gleaming with health and vitality. But it was not alone. 3 other Vreln followed, each slightly different in size and color pattern. One was smaller and more elegant, with scales that shifted through shades of silver and white. Another was larger even than Veska, its scales a deep emerald green. The third was medium-sized with scales that looked like polished copper. The 4 Vreln arranged themselves in the canyon, their massive forms dwarfing the human observers. The dimensional gateway collapsed behind them with a sound like breaking glass. Silence fell over the canyon. Humans and Vreln regarded each other across the divide of evolution and experience. Then Veska's familiar voice resonated in every human mind present. Greetings, humans of Kaysher 9. I have returned as I promised I would try to do, and I have brought others, representatives of the Vreln Council, come to meet the species that saved my life. Hyun-soo stepped forward, visibly struggling to maintain composure. Welcome. We are honored by your presence. The Silver Vreln spoke next, its mental voice lighter than Veska's but no less powerful. I am Lantha, speaker for the Vreln Council. We have debated long about this moment. The decision to break our isolation was not made lightly. We understand, Hyun-soo said, and we're grateful for your willingness to take this risk. The Emerald Vreln's voice rumbled through their minds like distant thunder. I am Krell. I speak for those who opposed contact. Let me be clear. We are here because Veska's testimony about your medic's actions moved even the most skeptical among us. But we are watching. We are judging. One act of compassion does not guarantee your species is ready for the knowledge we possess. The Copper Vreln spoke with a voice that felt warm and curious. I am Nethys. I study younger species. I have watched humanity longer than any other. You are aggressive, short-lived, and often cruel, but you are also capable of great beauty and unexpected kindness. You confuse us, and that confusion is why we are here. Taemin found himself pushed forward by the crowd. Jiwoo gave him an encouraging nod. He walked toward the 4 Vreln, feeling tiny beneath their gaze. Veska's colors brightened when it saw him. Taemin, healer, I told my people about you, about your choice to save me despite the risks and unknowns. Some believed me. Some thought I exaggerated, so I brought them to see for themselves. See what? Taemin asked. See you. See this place. See the colony built by beings who live brief lives but dream vast dreams. We need to understand you better before we can decide how much contact is appropriate. Lantha spoke again. Veska has advocated strongly for full diplomatic relations, for sharing knowledge and establishing dialogue. But such decisions cannot be made based on one individual's experience. We must meet more of your kind, understand your culture, your values, your goals among the stars. We want to learn, Hyun-soo said. We want to prove ourselves worthy of your trust. Then prove it, Krell said bluntly. Not with words, but with actions. Show us that humanity can be trusted with the knowledge that elder species exist. Show us that you will not use that knowledge to harm others or to demand technology you have not earned. We'll do our best, Taemin said quietly. Nethys moved closer to Taemin, lowering its head to study him. You are the one who saved Veska. Tell me, young human, why did you do it? Because it was the right thing to do, Taemin said simply. But how did you know it was right? You knew nothing about Veska, nothing about the Vreln. It could have been dangerous. It could have been hostile. Yet you risked your safety and your resources to help. Why? Taemin thought about his answer carefully. Because life is valuable. Because suffering is real, no matter who experiences it. Because I'm a medic and medics don't let patients die if we can help it. It's that simple. The four Vreln were silent, communicating among themselves in ways humans could not perceive. Finally, Lantha spoke. Simple, yes, perhaps that is what we needed to hear. We Vreln have made everything complex in our long existence. We have rules and protocols and philosophies built over millennia. But you remind us that some truths are simple. Life matters. Suffering matters. Helping matters. This colony will serve as the first point of contact between our species, Veska announced. We will send representatives to meet with your leaders. We will begin slow, careful dialogue. Nothing will be rushed. Trust must be built gradually. And the knowledge you left us? Jiwoo asked, holding up a scanner. The information in the crystal scale? Is yours to study and develop, Veska confirmed. Consider it a gift, proof of our good intentions. But remember, the months that followed were unlike anything humanity had experienced in its entire history. The colony on Keshar 9 became Earth's first embassy to an elder species, though calling it an embassy felt inadequate for what it truly represented. Ships arrived from Earth weekly, bringing diplomats, scientists, and cultural representatives. Everyone wanted to be part of this historic moment. Everyone wanted to meet the Vreln and prove that humanity deserved a place among the stars. The four Vreln remained, though they came and went through their dimensional gateways. They were cautious, measured, always watching and evaluating. They met with human leaders through holographic communications. They observed human activities across the colony. They asked endless questions about human culture, history, and motivations. Taemin found himself at the center of it all, though he never sought that position. The Vreln, especially Veska, preferred speaking with him over the official diplomats. They trusted him in a way they did not yet trust others. You are consistent, Veska explained one evening as they sat together in the canyon. The medical shelter had been replaced with a permanent pavilion designed for human Vreln interactions. The diplomats say what they think we want to hear. The scientists want knowledge above all else. But you remain the same person who saved my life. You want nothing except to help others. This is rare. I'm just doing my job, Taemin said. No, you are being yourself. There is a difference. Lantha appeared through a gateway, the silver Vreln scales gleaming in the artificial lights. The council has completed another evaluation. We have decided to expand contact, not just with this colony, but with Earth's central government. We will send a delegation to your homeworld. Hyun-soo, who had been coordinating all diplomatic efforts, looked both excited and nervous. That's incredible news. Earth will be honored to host you. But there are conditions, Krell rumbled, materializing beside Lantha. The Emerald Vreln was always the most skeptical. We will share more knowledge, but slowly. We will teach you some of our science, but not our most advanced technologies. You must develop at your own pace. And if we see humanity misusing what we share, contact will end immediately. We understand, Hyun-soo said, and we accept those terms. Nethys emerged last, the Copper Vreln's curiosity as strong as ever. I want to see more of human society. Not just this colony. I want to visit your cities, your schools, your hospitals. I want to understand how you live when you are not trying to impress elder species. You'd be welcome, Bora said. She had become the primary liaison for cultural exchanges. Though I should warn you, our cities can be chaotic. Not like this organized colony. Chaos is informative, Nethys replied. Order tells me what you want to be. Chaos tells me what you are. Jiwoo had been working with a team of Vreln specialists, beings who communicated through the main four. They were teaching her advanced physics and biology, though they carefully avoided anything that could be weaponized. Her research was advancing at an incredible pace. Look at this, she told Taemin excitedly one morning. We've made a breakthrough in medical technology. The Vreln showed us how they repair damaged tissue at the cellular level. We can adapt this for human use. Injuries that would take months to heal could recover in days. Diseases we thought incurable might become treatable. That would change everything, Taemin said, reading through her notes. It would.
And it's just the beginning.
But the Vreln are being careful. They're only sharing medical knowledge because it can't easily be turned into weapons. Other technologies will take much longer to access. That's fair, Taemin said. We need to prove ourselves trustworthy. Daun had become the official guide for Vreln visitors who wanted to explore Keshar 9. She took them to the crystal canyons, the desert plains, the rare oases where life clung to existence. The Vreln appreciated her enthusiasm and her honest wonder at their abilities. "They're amazing," she told Taimin after one such expedition. "Today Nethys showed me how they perceive dimensional spaces. It's like seeing reality from angles that don't exist. I can't even describe it properly. But for a moment I understood why they find us fascinating. We're locked into 3 dimensions, but we dream of more. We imagine things we can't perceive. Maybe that's what they like about us," Taimin suggested. "We reach for things beyond our grasp." Veska said something similar. It said humans have ambition that exceeds our lifespan. We start projects we'll never live to complete. We dream of futures we'll never see. The Vreln live so long that everything is achievable, given enough time. They've forgotten what it's like to race against mortality. Roxanne had grudgingly accepted the Vreln presence, though he maintained security protocols. The Vreln found this amusing but respected it. Krell in particular seemed to appreciate Roxanne's dedication to protecting his people. "You do not trust easily," Krell observed during one of their conversations. "This is wise. Even we Vreln do not trust blindly." "I'm getting better," Roxanne admitted. "It's hard to see beings like you as threats when you're teaching our doctors how to cure diseases." "But we could be threats," Krell said. "Power is power regardless of how it is presented. Your caution keeps your people safe. Never lose that." 3 months after the Vreln delegation arrived, something significant happened. A young colonist, a girl named Hana who was barely 16, fell ill with a rare condition. The colony's medical facilities were not equipped to treat it. Transportation to Earth would take too long. Taimin was preparing emergency measures when Veska appeared. "I sense distress," the ancient being said. "Someone is dying." "A colonist," Taimin explained, his voice tight. "She's too young. We don't have the equipment to help her here." "But we do," Veska said. "Our medical knowledge far exceeds yours. If you permit it, we could save her." Taimin looked at Veska, remembering the day he had made a similar choice. "Please, if you can help her, do it." Veska contacted the other Vreln. Within an hour, they had transformed part of the medical center into something extraordinary. Equipment materialized through dimensional gateways. Vreln specialists worked alongside human doctors. The girl was treated with techniques that seemed like magic but were merely science. Humanity did not yet understand. She recovered fully in 2 days. Her parents came to thank the Vreln, tears streaming down their faces. Veska accepted their gratitude with gentle grace. "You saved my daughter," Hana's father said. "How can we ever repay you?" "By remembering this moment," Veska replied. "We saved your daughter, just as Taimin saved me. Life helping life. This is how it should be." The incident was broadcast across human space. People saw the Vreln not as distant, powerful aliens, but as beings capable of compassion. Public opinion shifted dramatically. Fear gave way to hope. Suspicion gave way to gratitude. Lantha called a meeting with Hyunsu and the senior staff 2 weeks later. "The council has made a decision," the Silver Vreln announced. "We will establish permanent relations with humanity. Not as rulers or guides, but as partners. Equals in dignity, though not yet in knowledge or experience. We will help you grow. We will share what we can. And we will watch as you find your place among the civilizations of the galaxy." The room erupted in celebration. People hugged each other, laughed, cried. This was the moment humanity had dreamed of since first looking up at the stars. But Taimin remained quiet. He stepped outside the pavilion and looked up at the alien sky. Veska followed him. "You do not celebrate," Veska observed. "I'm happy," Taimin said, "but I'm also thinking about responsibility. Everything that's happened, all this change, it started because I helped you. What if I had walked away that day? What if I had decided it was too risky? Then I would have died," Veska said simply. "And humanity would have continued alone, not knowing that elder species watched from the shadows. Perhaps eventually another opportunity for contact would have arisen. Or perhaps not. The universe is full of missed chances. Do you ever wonder about fate?" Taimin asked. "About whether things happen for a reason?" "I wonder about choices," Veska replied. "I chose to investigate that spatial anomaly, which led to my injury. You chose to save me, which led to this moment. Taeyeon chose to call for help. Hyunsu chose to support your decision. Every choice creates branches in the river of time. We cannot know where they lead until we follow them. I hope we don't disappoint you," Taimin said quietly. "You already have not," Veska assured him. You proved that humanity is capable of compassion toward the unknown. That is the most important quality for any species seeking to join the larger community. Knowledge can be taught. Technology can be shared. But compassion must come from within. They stood together in comfortable silence, the ancient Vrelon and the young human who had saved its life. Around them, the colony celebrated humanity's first true step toward the stars. Ships would come, treaties would be signed, knowledge would be shared, history would be made. But in that moment, none of it mattered. There was only the simple truth that had started everything. One being had been dying. Another had refused to let that death happen. And from that single act of kindness, the universe had shifted. "Thank you," Taman said finally, "for giving humanity this chance." "Thank you," Veska replied, "for reminding us why life matters, for showing us that compassion exists even in the youngest species, for proving that the universe is